In this video, we're going to talk about simplifying algebraic expressions. But first of all, I just want to talk for a moment about what we mean by simplify. So the purpose of simplifying algebraic expressions is to make them easier to use. Or easier to understand. And in general, how we do this is by doing every operation we can. And you'll get a chance to see what this looks like. So, we're going to do an example, or I'm going to do an example, and then you're going to try number 4, and then we'll work through number 4 together, so you can check your work. So, starting with an example. We need to simplify x times 2 minus 4x plus 3 minus 2x. I'm just going to make that a little clearer so you can see that says simplify. Okay, so how do we do this? We actually have two options. We could do all the things in the parentheses first and follow the order of operations, or we could distribute the x. You can think of this as having the option of either doing the subtractions and additions inside here first, or of doing multiplication first. So I'm going to do the work inside the parentheses first. So we need to do all of the operations we can, and inside these parentheses we only have addition and subtraction. And we can only add and subtract like terms. So let's try to find some like terms. 2 and 3 are just both numbers with no variables involved. So these are like terms. So we've got x times, we need to add 3 to 2, and when we take 3 plus 2, we get 5. Now we also have negative 4x and negative 2x. When we subtract 2x from 4x, we get negative 6x. So now we have x times 5 minus 6x. There's no more operations that we can do on the inside of these parentheses because there are no more like terms. And so now we have to distribute. X times 5 is 5x, and x times negative 6x is negative 6x squared, because we have a negative 6 times x, and x times x is x squared. There's no more operations we can do, no addition, no multiplication, and so this is simplified. Now, pause the video, give part 4 a try, and then watch the rest of the video to check your answer. Okay, let's give part 4 a try. So we need to simplify x plus 3 times x plus 0.8. Notice that decimal point in there. So how do we do this? Well, there's two options. I'm going to go through both of them. The first thing we should check is whether there are any operations to do inside the parentheses. We have x plus 3 here, and x plus 0.8 here. There's no like terms in either set of parentheses, so there's no operations to do there. The next thing we have to do is multiplication. Here we have x plus 3 times the quantity x plus 0.8. Do you remember in the last problem how we took x times 5 minus 6x, and we multiplied x times 5, and then we multiplied x times 6 times negative 6x? Well, it's the same thing here. We take x plus 3 and multiply it by x to get x plus 3 times x, and we take x plus 3 and we multiply it by 0.8 to get x plus 3 times 0.8. I'm going to write that out over here. And we can multiply numbers in whatever order we want. So I'm just going to write them like this. I'm going to move the x and the 0.8 to the other side of the x plus 3's. Now we do the same thing again. We multiply x by x, and we get x squared. We multiply x by 3, and we get 3x. I'm going to multiply x times 0.8, and we're going to get 0.8 times x, and 0.8 times 3, which you can do on your calculator, gives you 2.4. We're still not done. Take a minute to think about why. Okay, so if you saw it, we have some like terms now. 3x plus 0.8x is 3.8x. So what we have is x squared plus 3.8x plus 2.4. And this is our simplified expression. And that's the answer, and that is a great way to get the answer. However, there is a more usual way to get the answer. Doing this step over here, which I will underline in black, this step is a lot of work. And so there's a more standard way to do it. And I'm going to write it out under here. So when we did all this multiplication, we did this multiplication, and then we did this multiplication, we ended up getting x squared plus 3x plus 0.8x plus 2.4 before combining like terms. So I'm going to show you another way to get that. And for reasons that I'm going to be somewhat unclear about, these numbers will come out in a different order, but that's not a big issue. So this x squared term right here, that's like multiplying together the first terms in each pair of parentheses. X times x. So if we multiply the first terms together, we get x squared. Now, if we multiply the outer terms together, then we get, so the outer terms, because they're on the outside, we get 0.8x. Sorry, there's another problem hiding down there. Now if we multiply the inner terms together, we get 3x. And if we multiply the last terms together, we get 3 times 0.8, which is 2.4. If we add all these up, then we get x squared plus 0.8x plus 3x plus 2.4. And just like I said earlier, these did come out in a different order, but that's okay. They're just going to get added together, and we can add numbers in whatever order we want. So that's just left over from the different ways that we multiplied them together. But that's not a big deal. One way to remember this trick is to remember the word FOIL. For F for first, O for outer, I for inner, and L for last.